How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today I'm really excited because we're going to be taking a look at all the Blu-rays and DVDs I got for August of 2025. And there's some really cool stuff in there. I have 18 things to show you guys, 4 of which are Blu-ray, but one of those is the rare for me Blu-ray 4K combo pack. All the Blu-rays are cool, newer titles I was really glad to get my hands on, and the DVDs have lots of fun, wacky stuff in there, including some individual releases I didn't have of pretty big horror franchises. Really glad to snatch those up. Anyway, without further ado, I'm gonna switch to the close-up camera. I'll show you guys all the physical media and say a little bit about each one. So yeah, let's go ahead and dive in to the haul. Alright, here we are inside the castle, taking a closer look at all the Blu-rays and DVDs I got for August of 2025. And let's start off with the only 4K, and that is the release of Hush. Really glad to have this in my collection. Basically, you get this girl in a cabin in the middle of nowhere. She can't hear, and a killer's coming, and the killer's going to kind of play a cat and mouse game with her. It's super tense, and they really do play with like the tight rules of what can she do to get around this killer even if she can't hear, you know, what cards is she dealt. Now, this wasn't Mike Flanagan's first film, but this was the film that introduced a lot of people to him, and it was on Netflix, and a lot of people thought this was a Netflix original, but eventually it got pulled off the service, and there was about a year where there was no legal way to watch this. It would eventually find other streaming homes, but now we do have this really nice 4-disc set from Scream Factory, and we don't have to worry about it disappearing again. The back, we get to see all the special features, and the 2 4Ks, you have the original cut and the new Shush cut. The Blu-ray has both versions of the film, which is really great. They're not locking us out of a single version. I don't have a 4K player. I would have just got a Blu-ray copy of this if it was available, but they only had 4K Blu-ray combo pack. The thing is, you need a really big home theater setup to make 4K worth it, and I just don't have the space or money for that. But I'm glad that they're both on Blu-ray. And then the last Blu-ray is all special features. Slide this out. Under artwork is the same as the over, but then we get all 4 the disc. The killer watching her. An arrow because the killer has a crossbow, so there's one of the bolts. There's her. And then the last disc is the cabin in the woods in the middle of nowhere. So, really great movie. Glad to finally have it on physical and not have to worry about it disappearing. After that is another really great movie, and that is Godzilla -1. Honestly, this is one of the best Godzilla movies of all time. It won an Academy Award for Best Visual Effects, but honestly could have won more. The characters and the story are so great in this one. I mean, Godzilla movies tend to have a human problem, but not with this film. You get a guy who was a former kamikaze pilot, but he backed out at the last minute, and in post-World War II Japan, he has a feeling that everybody is judging him, and that he shouldn't be here, he shouldn't be alive right now, and it's a man learning that he has the right to live, and it's a really powerful message, and having Godzilla be a metaphor for everything he's fighting against, it's super good. Definitely check this one out. There's a bit of the bonus features, and if we crack this open, we get the main disc and a whole disc of bonus features there, so that's really cool. The next movie is tonally very different, but still a really good one, and that is David Harbour and Violent Night. I wanted to rewatch this movie last Christmas, but Amazon actually sold out, and I couldn't find it anywhere. They didn't print enough copies, I guess. I'm glad I got this one early, so I'll be able to do a rewatch this Christmas, but this is really fun. David Harbour is a tougher Santa Claus with a mysterious past that we get to find out a bit about, and he goes to this house on Christmas and wanders into a heist, and it definitely becomes like a Christmas version of Die Hard. There's good action, and it's pretty funny. I can definitely recommend this one. Crack it open, and we have the Blu-ray and the DVD. Moving right along, our last Blu-ray is actually a TV show, and that is Creepshow Season 4. Creepshow the show is pretty fun. It does get a little tropey and predictable sometimes, but overall I do like it. And this is the fourth, which I think is the most current season. I think I'm somewhere in Season 3. I really need to catch up. These have 6 episodes, but they're doubles, so it says 12 terrifying tales. And flip it to the back and you get to see some shots from the episodes. Slide it out, and the under artwork is the same as the front, but this one is a little bit sad as far as the physical release goes, because if we crack it open, there's no reversible cover art like the last 3 seasons, and there's no booklet either. I got this new and sealed, so they must have just not had a booklet this time, but in the past, the booklet was like a little comic book, and it was a great part of the release, and it really does kind of suck to see them cut it. Oh well, though. Here's hoping the episodes in Season 4 are good, though. But anyway, that's all the Blu-rays. Let's move on to the DVDs. Let's start off with 2 DVDs from the collections I'm growing. First off, I got a Krampus movie, Krampus Unleashed. And I'm super glad I was able to pick this one up, because this one was getting super rare. It was going for like $70, but somehow I found a copy on Amazon for just $7. Maybe they reissued it or something. I'd kind of written off ever finding this one, so glad to get a copy. There's Santa in the snow globe there. Anyway, flip it to the back and it talks about how there's a bunch of treasure hunters that accidentally unleash Krampus when they find some sort of relic. After the Mike Doherty film, people realized that Krampus was a public domain folklore character. There's a lot of Krampus movies that aren't the big one, and I don't have high hopes for this, but you know what? I'll check it out come Christmas. I'm gonna try to knock out as many of the Krampus films as I can this year. And there's the disc, same as the front. Another thing I collect is shark movies, and I was able to pick up Noah's Shark. I actually have done a review of this one already. This one is pretty bad. You see this cover and you think, oh, Noah's in the boat and the shark's going to be attacking him. That looks like a really fun movie that almost writes itself. But no, you see, this is a Mark Polonia movie. He doesn't have the budget to do anything that good. Flip it to the back and you get to see a few frames from the movie, but basically this is a Father Benna movie. Father Benna had been in Amityville Exorcist, and after this he'd be in Amityville in Space. But don't worry, continuity's not super important here. But basically this doesn't take place in the past, it takes place in the present, and it's like the search for the Ark, and there's a whole bunch of like convoluted made-up history about Noah secretly having another son, and he invited a demon in the form of a shark onto the Ark, and they like threw him overboard and vowed not to speak of him again. It goes on for a while, and there's hardly any sharks in this movie. I mean, it's a search for the Ark, it's not actually on the Ark. The Ark is haunted with a shark, and there happens to be a little pond near it, so you do get a tiny bit of shark action, but overall this is a movie that really doesn't deliver on its promise, and it's just convoluted and rambling. So yeah, not a recommendation, but there's the disc, which is a zoom in on the shark. After that, let's move into a few multi-packs, and here's a pretty fun one. Sasquatch Horror Triple Feature. And we get Sasquatch, The Legend of Bigfoot, Snow Creature, and Snow Beast. So it looks like 2 Yeti movies there. Always great to pick up a wacky multi-pack. If you guys have been watching these hauls for a while, you know I'm collecting Bigfoot movies. I am planning on some sort of Bigfoot project, and I'm getting really close to making an announcement on that, but I'm going to have a sort of Bigfoot marathon that I run as I'm making the project, so I am grabbing up movies for that. And great to get 3 in one place. There's a bit of a description about the movies, and the 3 movies are on one flipper disc. After that, we have 2 more double packs, but they're not just any double packs. They're MGM's Midnight Movies. These are such classic double features. If you collect horror and sci-fi, you've seen a bunch of these, and I'm always glad whenever I get a chance to pick any of them up. The first one is kind of like Beautiful Invaders from Outer Space. We get Invasion of the Star Creatures, where they have these like plant monsters with them, and then Invasion of the Bee-Girls, which is a pretty recognizable classic. I haven't seen Bee-Girls all the way through, but I really look forward to it. It looks really good. There's the back with posters and fun facts and descriptions and stuff, and there's the disc, another flipper disc. The other one has Phantom from 10,000 Leagues and the Beast with a Million Eyes. So yeah, the last one was Invasion, and then this one is Large Numbers. I like how they try to pair them up to something that kind of makes sense. But apparently this one's about some sort of radioactive monster, and this one takes place on a ranch, and apparently there's like killer farm animals or something. The back is a little more plain this time around, and once again we are on a flipper disc. But you know how the back was plain, this was a later release. And you want to know what sucks about that? Look at the spine. They went from these nice classic MGM big picture spines to these tiny little ones. That kind of sucks. These all look really great lined up. I always put the little ones at the end because I don't like them as well. Up next, a TV show I was really glad to pick up, Police Squad, with Leslie Nielsen in it. This was a show that would go on to inspire the Naked Gun movies, and a new Naked Gun movie came out with Liam Neeson in it. I haven't watched it yet, but the show's known for being really, really funny, and it got canceled way too quick. If we flip it to the back, it says, there are 8 million stories in the naked city. Here are 6. Yeah, sad that a show with this big of a cult following got canceled after just 6 episodes. But at least it would turn into some good movies. Crack open these little doors. And there's the gray disc. But yeah, I can't wait to check it out. I remember watching the first movie a whole bunch. I think I've seen 2 and 3, but I never actually went to go and watch the show, so I'm really looking forward to that. Up next, moving on to a section that I'm doing a bit lately, semi-extraneous purchases. These are movies that I had some other release for, but I kinda wanted to get these as well. In the first section here is 3 Hellraiser movies. I had the Hellraiser sequels on that classic multi-pack, and they were kind of jammed on there, and they didn't even have special features or subtitles, I don't think. They were pretty bare bones, and I knew I wanted to upgrade because I really liked the Hellraiser movies, so I'm breaking them out of the multi-pack, starting off with Hellraiser 3 Hell on Earth. This is the same image that they would use on that multi-pack, I believe, but they changed the color because, yeah, him being in green and red, this kind of feels like Christmassy. It's a weird color choice. But flip it to the back, and this is the one where Pinhead becomes the main antagonist for the first time. And I think this one has the club scene in it, where like the DJ becomes a Cenobite. And I feel like with Hellraiser 3 and 4, they're not as good as the first 2, but they're way better than what would come later in the series. So 3 and 4 are still pretty good, so this is part 3, and I remember it being pretty fun. Again with these doors. And there's the disc, same as the front, except for he's not as green on the disc for some reason. That's a little weird. Up next we have Deader. Deader I remember being super weird and hard to follow, something about a cult or something. Yeah, this one got a little all over the place. I only watched it once, and I'm curious to revisit it. I haven't covered the Hellraiser movies on the channel yet, so I am going to do a big series rewatch sometime soon, and Deader I am curious if it will make more sense on a second go around. I love that the box isn't just another picture of Pinhead. I mean, it is, but it's not just another portrait. We actually get him and this chains and a big floating puzzle box with characters on it. This one looks pretty cool. There's the back with some information, and crack it open, we get the disc and the chapter guide. Sadly, the back of the chapter guide is just advertisements. I like it better when it's a poster for the movie. Moving right along, we have Hellraiser Hellworld. This is another one that doesn't quite deliver on the promise, because you hear about like a Hellraiser video game, and you think it's some movie like Stay Alive or something, but no, the video game is some really simple puzzle game that gets them an invitation to a party where people start dying. So it's a party movie instead, and the ending of this one just goes a little bit off the rails. It does have, I believe this is the one with an early appearance from Henry Cavill before he was Superman, so cool to see him as one of the people going up against Pinhead here. But I love the Matrix green and black. And we flip it to the back and we get to find out a bit about the bonus material. And crack it open, there's the disc, there's the chapter select, and there's the ad for a bunch more Hellraiser movies, as well as one of the Prophecy movies. Moving right along to another semi-extraneous purchase, and that is the standard edition of Friday the 13th Part 2. And I'm a huge Friday fan, so I'm kind of collecting the physical media even if I don't really need to. On a past video, we found this I Love the 80s version, which is the same thing as this, but with a special banner and a bonus musical CD. And before I even started the series, I had the special edition of Part 2 with the motion lynchable 3D looking cover. That one is like, I believe, a longer cut with like lots more bonus features. So this was the only one I needed to have all three of the base Friday the 13th Part 2 releases on DVD. Again, kind of extraneous, but that's why I call these semi-extraneous purchases. But yeah, this is pretty much your standard base release for Friday the 13th Part 2. The ones that Paramount originally put out, and they don't have much in the way of special features. But hey, we do get the original poster art on the front there. Shiny, shiny disc and chapter select. But back of chapter select is the poster this time, which is pretty cool. Alright, moving along with these semi-extraneous purchases, I have the DVD copies of the Halloween H2O timeline. Previously, I had all the Halloween movies in a big Blu-ray multi-pack, so I never had these on DVD, and I do also like the individual release covers much better than having a multi-pack. It's really cool to see the art for each movie. Halloween H2O is one of the better sequels. You get Jamie Lee Curtis coming back, she faked her death, and Michael Myers finds her as like a teacher in this Californian university. Halloween H2O 20 years later, so kind of like an anniversary film. Flip it to the back and we get to hear about the bonus material, and there's that famous shot of Michael and Laurie through the little circle window. And we can crack it open, chapters and gray disc, but strangely the 20 years later subtitle is missing from the disc itself. And of course, back of chapter select is a nice poster card. Now we go from one of the best sequels in the Halloween series to one of the worst. Halloween Resurrection was such a mess. You have Laurie Strode in the movie, but she's only in there for about 5 or 10 minutes. And then it's like a bunch of unrelated characters filming a TV show at the Michael Myers house. So like part of this movie is found footage, but not all of it. And it's like goofy TV culture. Yeah, it's kind of a campy one. And to go from something serious and epic, and then to kind of just go into this goofballs Halloween movie, not really the best move. I don't hate the movie or anything, but it definitely is a step down. And we get Evil Finds Its Way Home written on Michael Myers' mask. There's the back with Michael up top, and there's quite a bit of special features in here. Crack it open, once again gray disc, chapter select, and another nice poster card. And moving on to the final section of semi-extraneous purchases, I got the DVDs for Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness. Again, it's the same deal where I had both these movies on Blu-ray, but I do want both editions of the film. I really do love this artwork, this cool neon pastel look. It's super grungy, but also super pop. The Blu-ray I have is just the skull with the eyeballs poster. I really love this artwork. There's the back with Bruce getting choked by the hand. Really classic scene there. And then there's the disc, chapters, quad style poster, and an ad for the Hail to the King video game. Now, the last thing to take a look at is really interesting and different. This is Army of Darkness, but it's listed as Bruce Campbell versus Army of Darkness, the director's cut, and this is the official bootleg. And I really do love the design for this. They made it look like they were hiding this movie in a paper bag. All the text is designed to look like it's handwritten. There's a hand-drawn version of the Anchor Bay logo. And the back is a note from Bruce himself with his signature there. But yeah, I had heard about the alternate ending, and I did, look it up on YouTube and see it. It's a really cool alternate ending, and this director's cut preserves that. But in addition to that, you get a bunch of bonus features here, including 15 additional minutes of footage. Sometimes extended cuts are just a little bit longer, but 15 minutes? Wow, that's pretty cool. A grand total running time of 96 minutes. Now here's my Blu-ray of the film, a pretty standard and common to find edition now, the Screwhead edition, and I thought surely the director's cut must be like the thing that everyone has now. But I flipped it to the back and nope, only 1 hour and 21 minutes, so yeah, this DVD is a totally new cut for me, and I can't wait to see the longer version of Army of Darkness. Inside, they keep up that handwritten motif. They make the DVD look like an old burn-it-yourself DVD-R, and they keep up the handwriting here. And then they make the chapter selects look like a handwritten piece of paper torn out of a journal. So yeah, I love that they really committed to the bootleg gag. I had seen this one before and didn't pick it up, and I really regretted that. So I really am glad I finally got the chance to grab this version of the film. Super happy to add this to the collection. So yeah, overall a pretty good haul. Yeah, semi-extraneous purchases went on for quite a while this time, but it's all stuff I really like. And hey, I even got 2 of the classic midnight movies and some really good new stuff on Blu-ray. Overall, super excited for this month's haul. Got a lot of stuff I'd really wanted for a while. So yeah, cool stuff here. Anyway though, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. This should be my monthly movie hauls playlist. But if you guys like seeing this and want to see a whole lot more of it, feel free to click this playlist. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very soon. Playlist here. Have a good day now.